porch,
Yeah.
including Jazz Chisholm and Tariq Skubal. How you feeling about all this?
I mean, it's really interesting. I'm sure like just the quotes of basically everybody's available in Detroit. If I was a fan of the Detroit Tigers right now, I would be so frustrated. I mean,
Yep,
I still think that they've got a really bright future there, and
me
I
too.
get exploring. Like I get exploring a Scooble trade just because, like, I don't think this is a future ace. I think he's
Hmm.
really good, and I think that the cost control can't be ignored.
Hmm.
But is he the guy who's going to be pitching at a top of a rotation of a playoff team for a long time? I don't know,
Probably
man.
not.
And you could
Probably not.
probably get some really, really good prospects because I don't think he hits free agency until 2038. But that was fun. It was fun to see some rumors just because this trade deadline has been
Yeah. And you
dull.
mentioned Scooble there. I mean, in a world, and I think it behooves the Tigers to at least listen to any conversation about this because the pitching market is so thin outside of Luis Castillo and Sean Manaea, maybe Paul Blackburn, maybe the Red Sox tear it all down and suddenly Eovaldi comes on the play. But like the
Sure.
pitching market, especially the starting pitching market, is not very strong. There might be a return for him. But
Yeah.
listening to all of this, I mean, it's just such a bummer to hear because this was a Tigers team that had one of the top 5 records post All-Star break last year, goes out this offseason, spends the money on Javi Baez, trades for Austin Meadows. This is supposed to be the season. Miggy's going to get 500 and they're going to, maybe storm up
Yes.
the Central, and
Right.
all of those plans have gone horribly awry.
I mean, it's been awful. I mean, I don't know what you do if you're Detroit
Yeah,
other
I
than
mean, it's rough.
stay patient and stay the
Yep.
course. By the way, I will say it is extremely hot here, and those of you who are watching on the podcast, thank you. And also, you're going to get to watch me drink this bad boy as we're going. My mommy brought me a very nice milkshakey milkshakey coffee thing, so I can have my energy and also a nice cold treat too. It's very good.
Hear that, Mom? You hear that,
Mhm.
Mom? He's getting deliveries. All
I
right.
think
So
that might have been mom sending me a
I'm
message
sitting
right
over
now.
here, just schwitzing over here, just trying to get through the day. And there
What
he
do you
goes.
got temperature there?
Uh, I mean, actually, today was the first non-90-degree day in like the last
Okay,
6. So
yeah,
I can't complain today. Today's actually been a good day.
probably a much higher humidity where you are there, so you can complain
Almost
if you want.
assuredly. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't get humidity here. I mean, 94 to 95 is still extremely hot, and that's what it is. Like I said,
You West
once you get a
Coasters don't get humidity. You get to go to
no,
sleep at a reasonable hour in the night while finishing all the sports games. You get to wake
yeah.
up to sports. I don't want to talk about it, you West Coasters.
Oh, and we
You get
have
everything good out there.
way better seafood than you guys do too. I'm sorry,
No
it's
argument there. I'm not
just
arguing that. I mean,
destroyed.
the
But
good people of New England might have a couple says about that.
yeah,
Maybe some Bay Area. I mean, some of the people down in the DMV area, but otherwise,
what's your
uh,
thoughts
I,
on soft shell crab?
I like it. I'm not a gigantic seafood person. You want to
Okay,
get a reach out of me, like talk to me about a good steak or something like that, a good cut of
yeah,
meat. I'll talk for
sure,
20 minutes.
sure.
Seafood is an evolving cuisine for me. It's something I did not grow up eating, and I'm
Yeah,
forcing myself to continue to go out and try and eat it more, so that
sure.
way I can appreciate it better when I go out. So like
It's
when I was down in Myrtle Beach for like a month, I ate seafood probably like 4 nights a week. You know what I mean?
there
Like
you
so
go.
I'm
Yeah,
getting there, but
man.
I don't have a firm and hard opinion on soft shell crab.
I've never had it. The idea of it bugs me. Like eating a shell just kind of bugs me.
Yeah,
But
I
I
get that.
love crab, it's Jim Halpert's favorite food, so
Yeah.
it can't be that bad. I've heard Jim Halpert say that it's his favorite food in the show. Now, real quick before we actually start talking about baseball, have you ever had she crab soup before?
No,
So she crab soup is you take some crab, you take cherry or sherry. I always pronounce that
I was
wrong.
gonna say if you're
The
taking sherry and
yeah,
crab, we're
yeah,
off to a terrible
yeah.
start in this
The
thing. All right,
the drink that Niles and
yeah,
Fraser both really like a lot.
exactly.
Sherry. And then you take a cream and you mix it together, and it is delectable.
I
And
mean,
I've
that sounds
only had
great.
it in Virginia. I know that they have it like all over the Mid Atlantic.
Mhm.
So the next time you're in Myrtle Beach, if you see she crab soup, that's a tough one to say. Sheet crab soup. Next time you see it on the menu, I'd
All
recommend
right, I'm scooting on down there to do it. Coming up
it.
on the show today, Chris and I have scoured the waiver wire so you don't have to. We've
Yes.
highlighted players available in more than half of Yahoo leagues that can give your team the boost it needs to claw your way into the playoffs or add to your counting stats and ratios. Have some waiver questions of your own? Well, be sure to hit us up on Twitch if you are watching this live, or reach out to Chris and I on Twitter after the show to hear our 3 cents. But before we get to the wire, it goes down in the AM this Sunday on Peacock with MLB Sunday Leadoff, coverage presented by Uber Eats. Catch the Tigers take on the Blue Jays north of the border on Sunday, July 31st at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, live on NBC and Peacock. To learn more, go to peacock.com/MLB. And if you want a chance to win 25 grand on the game, go download the NBC Sports Predictor app powered by PointsBet and enter Sunday's free Grand Slam Pick'em contest. And before we get to the full wire, allow me to take a brief, quick shout out to my dad, TJ Henderson, his brother, Jeff Henderson, and the rest of Pirate Crew.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember this from last year,
Yeah,
I did a show
too.
from Mackinac Island. After his race, he not only did the Bayview Mackinac race this year, but also the Chicago Mackinac race a week after that. So for the last fortnight, he's basically been sailing. And just landed yesterday, came in second in their class and third overall out of approximately 300 ships that raced. Chris, it's just a casual 300-mile boat trip that they apparently storm winds of up to 63 miles an hour during the race. So, a casual kind of boating day. That's what I think of when I think about being on the water. But congratulations
congrats
to both Hendersons and Pirate Crew for their very impressive Chicago Mackinac race.
That's awesome. I love the Mackinac peaches, so I'm happy again to still not a real product.
Still not a real product. And I still think they said the Mackinac peaches. I was just watching this episode the other day. I think the Mackinac peaches they said is from like Wisconsin or something like that. It's not even from Michigan. I heard that and I was like, come on, guys.
Delicious peaches from the Midwest.
Yeah, it's something from the Midwest. So let's get to the waiver wire here. So Chris and I are going to break it up. Infielders, outfielders, and pitchers. So if you need to specifically get to one, feel free to fast forward after the fact to get to it. But good content all throughout. Let's start with the infield. Chris, why don't you start us off with it? With a good infielder available for pickup.
Sure. And our buddy Chad asked the questions. This is going to answer part of it. So I'm down Jose Iglesias, and I need to fill in. Is Terran Vavra worth a look purely for the empty batting average since he fills in at the same position? Other options are Luis Guillorme, but how much he plays is an issue. And Chad Pinder, while he's hot, it's great. That is great, buddy. That is not ideal. But I will give you some options. Like, he may not be available in your league, but I want to start off with a guy. So we were doing the research before this because we work hard on our jobs and stuff like that every once in a while. Santiago Espinal is available in 66% of leagues, and it makes no sense to me, other than the fact that maybe his playing time is going to be more of a little bit of a split thing. But if you're talking about a guy who could help in the average category, I mean, this is an all-star. Like, I know that can be like meaningless type of thing, but he earned that trip there. I mean, he was hitting for, I think he's hitting right now like something in the 280, 290 range, and he deserves it. Like, he is a guy who can spray the baseball all over the ballpark. Do I expect a lot of power from him? No. Do I think he's going to be like among the league leaders in stolen bases? Also big no. But this is a second baseman who can hit for average, is playing in my favorite personal lineup. You look at the hard hit percentage, and it's not super exciting, but the expected batting average in the 87th percentile, he does not strike out. And he's a way better defensive player than Kevin Biggio as well. And I think that's going to matter. Hitting 272, so a little lower than I thought, but he deserves better than that. And I would imagine that he hits in that 280 range for the next couple of months and scores some runs for you as well.
I mean, on that lineup there, as long as he's in the lineup and doing anything in that lineup, he should be scoring runs at the very least.
Yeah.
I like that. I was surprised you sent me your list right before the show, and I was like, that's no way he's available in 50% of leagues, and somehow he is. So he's not available in any of the leagues I'm in. So make sure you go grab him there. Let's pop over to me here. Let's talk about Christian Walker again. I've brought him up on the show before. People aren't listening to me. I'm going to continue to bang this drum. He's got 22 home runs and 49 RBIs on the year, 44 runs scored, an OPS of 755. Those are all very good numbers if I didn't tell you that Christian Walker was the name associated with it. Right. Yes, he has a 202 average, but his expected batting average is 250. It's
Yeah.
the fifth biggest difference between actual average and expected average. And his expected slugging is 500 on the dot, which is 18th in baseball. And that's higher than Paul Goldschmidt. That's
Mm-hmm.
higher than Vlad Jr., CJ Crone, Josh Bell, Mookie Betts, all of them with an expected slugging less than Christian Walker. Also, Christian Walker, there's a very real possibility that he might be wearing a different uniform in a week.
Absolutely.
And if he is going to have a much better offensive scenario around him. I think now is the last chance you have to go scoop him up. He is available still in 53% of Yahoo leagues. Go do it now, because I don't know why he's still available both in ESPN and Yahoo leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like Walker. He's been a guy that we've been talking about for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
You've been banging that drum, and I totally agree with it. The other thing to keep in mind too with Walker is, like, he's getting pitched around a lot in Arizona. If he goes plays for a contender, he's going to get more pitches to hit, and he's going to get a chance to, I think, get more balls to drive. And maybe you won't see as many home runs as he was hitting, but you'll see that average go up, and I think that's a fair trade-off. The other guy that I really was surprised is this low in terms of roster percentage. I know he's been frustrating, Alec Bohm, and he's on a heater right now, and that's the reason why I'm hot on this guy. And at some point, Alec Bohm is going to start hitting the ball over the fence. Can I guarantee that it's over the next 2 months? No, I can't. I wish I could, but at some point that's going to come. So in dynasty leagues, that's going to help. If he can be a 280 to 290 hitter at the third base position, which is just disaster is too strong a word, but to call it top heavy is the understatement of understatements. It is very hard for me to say that Alec Bohm is anything but either a back end third baseman one or a starting corner infielder. Either one of those is worth, and he's available in way too many leagues right now.
I'm with you on that. And again, he's a heater. I think at this point of the year, if you're looking for someone to fill a spot,
sure,
say for example, Rafi Devers just went on the IL and you're looking for someone to take that spot, grab a heater. You don't need him for forever. You just need him until Devers is back. Grab whoever's got the hottest bat on your waiver and grab. He is extremely hot. Speaking of hot, Yandy Diaz, available in 62% of Yahoo leagues. He's hitting 294 on the year, 4 home runs, 30 RBIs, 43 runs scored, but he's got an OPS of 810. No, the power is not going to be a thing with him, but runs scored and batting average very much will be. Since July 1st, he's batting 366 with an OPS north of 1 with 12 walks and 9 strikeouts. I mean, he's got more walks than strikeouts this month. He's batting close to 360. Oh, he's batting over 360 this month. I mean, if you're looking for a hot hand, there's a hot hand to go grab. Go grab now. Again, available in 62% of leagues.
And the thing that's about Diaz is that his approach at the plate is so good that he's going to be a helper in the on-base category, especially. But if we're just talking about 5x5, his expected batting average is earned because he has such a discernible eye at the plate and makes contact with everything. Like, he's in the bottom 90 or in the top 97th percentile in whiff percentage, in the top 95th percentile in chase rate. That's hard to do. Like, and a walk percentage of 98% with the expected batting average in the 88th percentile. He is very much legit. I'll talk about the guy who he's kind of been playing platoonish with. Isaac Paredes, and excuse me, I'm going to get this name right someday. Isaac Paredes is a guy that I really like. Now, look, he slowed down a little bit. The power hasn't been showing up quite as much, but that's a little bit regression to the mean on the opposite side. He couldn't keep hitting the ball over the fence that way he was. I just like this power so much. I like the fact that you can play him in a few places in Yahoo leagues. I believe when I was looking, his roster percentage was like significantly down there. And I think some of that has been that people have kind of given up on him a little bit. I'm still a big fan. I think he's going to be a big contributor over these final 2 months. He's someone I'd absolutely be rostering.
Let's go over to the catcher position. I know you have a catcher to target here. Why don't you talk about him first?
Sure. MJ Melendez. I mean, he's rostered in 41% of leagues. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, he's hitting at the top of the lineup sometimes for the Kansas City Royals right now. You have to love that. Like, the lineup isn't great, but it gives him the chance to score some runs. The power is legit. I had no questions about the power. There's a guy who hit over 40 home runs during his minor league season last year. and he's hit something like 12 this year in fairly limited time. I mean, he's gotten to the double digits without being a guy who started the season. In a catcher, if you're playing in a 2 catcher league, he's an obvious must roster.
Yeah.
I think he's a catcher one for the rest of the season. I think that with how bad Kansas City is, they're going to find a way to make sure he's in the lineup to go through some hots and colds. And you can take advantage of that playing time, even if he doesn't help in the average category. I think he's going to help enough in power category for it to matter.
And even in a world where Salvador Perez comes back, and again,
yes,
it seems like he is actually expected to potentially make a rehab assignment this week. So what was a 6 to 8 week span for his injury, he might be come back on the very short end of it. Even in that scenario where he does come back, there's a DH spot. They're going to find a way of getting both of these bats into the lineup as much as humanly possible. I don't think that changes the conversation at all.
No.
If you are worried about there, I don't think so.
Real quick, by the way, this is a guy who needs robot umpires. He's maybe the worst framer that I've ever seen, but he can really, really hit.
Yeah, that helps. That you'll get ahead of that. Chad mentioned, is there any trade deadline risk for Yandy, or is that not a direction you see the Rays going? I don't see the Rays moving Yandy Diaz unless they're getting something way better for him, unless someone's targeting him, because I don't know how much of a trade market that he has, but the Rays are still very much in the conversation. They're going to be adding at this deadline, not subtracting.
I guess that would be the concern I'd have for Diaz and Paredes, is that maybe they add and their playing time goes down because they add somebody else. I would also be a little bit concerned about Curtis Meade, who is one of my favorite prospects as well, and if they give him a shot. But at the same time, we're talking about 2 months. If you have to drop these guys, oh well. You know, we're talking about guys that you're adding to your roster with the fact that there's way more reward than risk.
Right. And really, all of these guys we're talking about, you're adding until they're not useful for you anymore, and then you move on to the next guy. That's where we are in the season now.
Yeah.
We're not falling in love with anyone. From a catcher position, I want to bring up Carson Kelly. Available in 86% of Yahoo leagues, so widely available. If you are dealing with the catcher, malaise, which is very prevalent out there. If you're a Gary Sanchez manager still for reasons, he has a 13-game hitting streak going back to July 4th. And since July 4th, he's slashing 422, 458, 756 with 9 extra base hits, 9 RBIs, and 11 runs scored. That's 13 games. And again, a 13-game hitting streak over that span. He's doing everything right now. And and remember, this is a guy who just a year or two ago was putting up top 5 numbers from the catcher position. Obviously, the big conversation has been around Dalton Varsho out there, but Carson Kelly still exists, and it seems like he wants to make a name for himself. He might be on the move over the next week. Obviously, being a Diamondback, it's possible, and Varsho on the roster. But even if he is not, I think his bat absolutely plays. He is scorching hot right now, and I think he's better than the vast majority of back end catcher ones right now that many people have been kind of just leaving in their roster since opening day. So Carson Kelly is absolutely a name to take a peek at.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're one of those people that just needs help with the catcher position for a couple of months, take a look. And if he does get traded, he's somebody that I think can be more valuable than some of the other crap at the catcher position, for lack of a better term. The other guy for me, of course, I'm going to talk about a prospect, although I think he's probably lost eligibility. I've seen a lot of you giving up on Nolan Gorman. I would not give up on Nolan Gorman. I like his situation so much there. I think he's going to be a much better power hitter over the final 2 months. He's had some bad luck, and that's going to happen for a lot of young players. They're going to go through some ups and downs, and then on top of the ups and downs, you're also going to have some unfortunate luck as well. I think Nolan Gorman is still somebody that I'd want in my middle infield position. The fact that he's rostered below 50% doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me.
And I think I get it only because he came on the scene very strong, has kind of cooled off since. He's not really doing anything special in any one category right now for someone to kind of go and grab. I think, but I'm completely with you. I think the potential is 100% there. And if you are looking for a big impact bat, not somebody who's just going to get you, just kind of keep the boat afloat. If you're looking for someone who potentially could be a game changer down the stretch, Nolan Gorman is one of those players who
Sure.
has that next gear to go to and could really
A
make a
lot of
difference.
upside. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's worth pointing out too, like he is struggling to an OPS plus of 107. I think we've got to
Yeah.
realize
Fair point.
that look, baseball is just different right now. These 700 OPS has all of a sudden become something that becomes acceptable. And he's hit 9 home runs in 53 games. That's about a
Yep.
27 homer pace. Um, at second base, I just think that this is somebody who should be on more rosters than not.
I'm with you. Let's talk about another prospect who I think still has his prospect eligibility. I spoke about Vinny Pasquantino on our Sunday show. I'm going to bring him up again here, available still in 79% of Yahoo leagues.
Hmm.
His elite eye continues to be elite. 15 strikeouts to 10 walks early in his career is just a really nice spell. He looks to be locking in. He's gone deep in three times already this month since his call up. He also has 4 games against in Yankee Stadium this week. Just a nice spot for his left-handed bat. Someone to take a
Hmm.
peek at. Also, Luis Urias from Milwaukee, available in
Sure.
59% of leagues. He has 10 home runs and 33 RBIs with 31 runs scored and OPS just shy of 7. He has a hit in every game since the All-Star break. He's had a very good month of July and has positional flexibility at second, third, and short, which is always a nice little benefit to have. Again, a little bit more of a deeper league play to me. I think I'd rather have all of the guys we mentioned above Urias right now,
Sure.
still a very valuable piece that I think can fill in while you're waiting any type of injury concern or if you need anybody to plug and play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice little depth piece to have, and you should be looking for those type of guys as somebody to plug in because you're going to see guys have injuries, you're going to see guys get shut down, you're going to see all
Yep.
sorts of weird stuff over the summer. I definitely agree. Let's go into the outfield, shall we?
Shall we?
Um, let's start off with a guy that is just a one category player, but the category is steals. Jorge Mateo. Like
Yep.
the fact of the matter is this guy is fast as anybody in baseball.
So
And if
fast.
we are deep enough in the league that if you've built up the counting stats everywhere else, this is the perfect time to go get him and
Mhm.
add him and hope that he can help you take your 10th place stolen base into like fifth or sixth, which can be a huge difference. Because when he gets on, there's a very good chance that he's going to run. I love players like Mateo for the final couple of months of the season.
Yeah, the only issue is you can't steal first base. It's a very Billy Hamilton kind of skill set with him. Is like it seems like somehow he struggles to get to first base, but good God, once you put him on first base,
Yeah.
he's going to be on third in about 5 pitches.
And still 23 stolen bases, even with a 260
Exactly,
on
and the
base
fact that he has
percentage.
23 stolen bases and with a hit tool, I think an OPS, OBP, if I remember correctly, that's under 250 or something along those.
260 is what it's at
Yeah,
right now.
260.
So,
So like it's bad. But
yep,
again, if you're looking for steals, this is a guy who is widely available who
right.
could straight up change your steals category
And I
real
will
quick.
also add too that he has the other benefit, and it'll be a common theme with a couple of my outfielders, of the fact that he's played only shortstop this year, but because of the fact that he played everywhere last year, he's eligible in a lot of places.
Always a benefit. Let's
Hmm.
talk about Kutch, Andrew McCutchen, available in
Yep.
59% of Yahoo leagues. Dude is heating up. Has a hit in 11 of his last 13 games, scoring 10 runs, 3 homers, and driving in 13 runs over that span. On the season, he's got 10 long balls with 45 RBIs, 43 runs scored, 6 stolen bases, and an OPS of 713. Again, he's not a sexy name anymore. But he is a name, and he is still producing in the middle of the order on a, if the season were to end today, almost a playoff team. I think technically, I think the Cardinals just jumped ahead of them. But
Right.
either way, this is a team that they are going to ask a lot of him in the middle of that lineup
Hmm.
because they don't seem to ever want to add offense to that roster for reasons I don't understand. But Kutch is that offense right now. So, and he is hot. So I think this is a great name to go grab in your outfield. Um, Chad actually just mentioned Raimel Tapia, and I was about to bring him up, so I'm going to do it now.
Sure.
He is available in 85% of Yahoo leagues.
Way too
Um,
low.
Way too low. Currently on the year, still hitting 286, 309, 417, 5 homers, 35 RBIs, although I wrote Bree on here. 30 runs and 5 stolen bases. I'm shocked at only 5 stolen bases. I assume that number is going to go up more because he is getting more playing time. Currently on a 6-game hitting streak, by the way, with 3 multi-hit games in that 6 games, along with 2 homers, 14 RBIs, and 6 runs scored. I know that there was a grand slam weirdness in Inside the Park Grand Slam in Boston, but even taking that aside, the numbers still look very nice. He's currently batting .406 in the month of July. And if you're putting up Ted Williams 400 batting averages in a given month, and we are at the 26th right now as of recording, you're going to get in the lineup a lot more. And if you're going to get, as you mentioned with Espinal, like if you're going to get in this lineup more often, it's going to lead it's going to be really positive for you. So the fact that he's available in 85% of leagues, if you were looking for anything outfield, especially anything and potentially in the stolen base category as well, Tapia is a guy to go grab.
Do you like your Brie better cold or baked?
Baked with a nice, I just did a brandied plum and mushroom kind of topping on mine the other day. It was quite nice.
I don't like cherries or berries, so I'm a little bit weird, and so I don't like jams and stuff like that. But a baked brie with honey on top, thumbs up, man.
Put some nuts on that thing. Yeah. We're calling it a day.
And speaking of baked brie, let's talk about Adam Frazier. That's a weird thing to tie. They have nothing to do with each other. It's just something I wanted to say. So Adam Frazier has been a disappointment this year. A lot of this has to do with the fact that his batting average balls in play in the month of June is hilarious. So, in April, he hit 238. That's not good, but he had a batting average of balls in play at 282. Okay. 275 in May, better. 298. Okay. In July this year, and it's only 18 games, but he's hit 303, 319, 379 with a batting average balls of play of 339. Now, that's a little high, but in June, this guy hit 144 with a 159 batting average balls in play.
Wow.
I don't care if he's negative 36 in hard hit percentage. That is a completely unsustainable thing. We have seen Adam Frazier, when he is having his best runs, be one of the best average guys in the sport.
Yeah.
The main reason I'm recommending him, though, is because of the fact that he's eligible at second base and outfield. So if you are somebody who is looking for someone to get hot and be a strong average guy over the final 2 months, Adam Frazier, especially as a roster ship below 50%, makes a ton of sense for me.
I agree with you there. I mean, there's a reason why he continues to move from team to team. It's not because of skill set. I mean, like he's a good player.
He's a solid player. He probably should be a utility player on a contender, to be completely honest with you.
I agreed.
But a guy that plays 4 or 5 times a day and should hit, because of the fact that he doesn't strike out a ton and can slash the baseball all over the place. He's much more the 303 and 275 guy that he was in May and July than the 144 with a 159 batting average balls in play.
Jarring. That is jarring to envision.
Not great.
Let's talk about Dylan Carlson, available in 52% of leagues, so just under the deadline, the marker there. On the season, still kind of waiting for his overall explosion, but it seems to be coming. On the season, 256, 327, 410, 5 homers, 26 RBIs, 35 runs scored, and 4 stolen bases with an OPS of 737. However, over his last 6 games, and I'm going to change that live to 7 games, he's hitting 318 over his last 6 with an OPS of north of 1, but he's now got 6 extra base hits because he just hit a home run tonight, Tuesday night. So that adds another one to him. So he's got 6 home runs on the year. He's been hitting in the leadoff spot or the number 2 spot in the lineup in 7 of his last 8 games. That is a very big deal, considering for about the month prior, he was pretty much mired in the 6 to 8 spot in the lineup. He has moved his way back up to the top. The biggest issue with Dylan Carlson right now is just simply the fact that if he happens to move to Washington in a theoretical Juan Soto trade, I don't know, that value is going to drop. I don't like any part of being a part of the Washington Nationals for the rest of the year for really anything fantasy for the most part. So if Carlson were to move from a pretty decent lineup that he's in right now, hitting right in front of Goldschmidt and Arenado, to a Nationals team that might have Nelson Cruz on it. Yeah, like it's his stock is gonna take a hit. But if he remains on the Cardinals, we might be finally starting to see the breakout that we've been waiting for Dylan Carlson. Super scorching hot right now. Plug him into your lineup until he isn't.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'll make a prediction. Prediction sure to go wrong. I will say that he is not playing for the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm not sure if he's playing for the Washington Nationals. I'm just guessing that because of what St. Louis has built in outfield depth. I mean,
Yep.
it's a more quantity than quality, to be completely honest with you.
Mhm.
It's just easier to move him for a either if they want to go get a top of the rotation arm. I
They
think
need an
they need to
arm.
go get a
They need
starting
arms.
pitcher
They
as
need
well
arms.
too.
They need arms
But
more than
I mean,
anything else.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I would say anybody needs one. So Juan Soto is basically worth a pitcher.
Sure, sure, sure.
But I totally agree with what you're saying. And Dylan Carlson, to me, you know, I don't think he's ever going to be a star, but I always think he's going. I think he's going to be better than what we've seen so far. And what we've
Agreed.
seen so far hasn't been terrible. Anthony Santander has been a guy that I have liked for a long time, ever since he was drafted in the Rule 5 draft, actually. And his numbers don't pop off the page: 242, 327, 425, 16 homers, 50 RBIs. But he's just a consistently good
Mhm.
power hitter. His expected slugging percentage is in the 71st percentile. His barrel percentage is in the 63rd. Like, there's a lot of above average statistics here. I like the fact that he walks a lot and he doesn't strike out a lot either. It
Yep.
gives you a good chance to get some batting average balls and play luck, and he puts the ball over the fence enough too. There's certainly sexier profiles available, but in terms of like consistency, and especially if you need help in the pop category, I like Santander a lot.
I like him a lot if he stays on the Orioles come August 2nd.
Oh,
Only because he has been a name that has been discussed in trade
sure.
talks. If he were to move to a team, he probably moves into more of a fourth outfielder role on a good team. So I would
Yeah.
worry a little bit about that. But if he remains an Oriole, I am 100% with you because
Yeah.
I think he is perennially, not perennially, for this
No.
entire season, he has been
Yeah.
underrated for what
Yeah.
he has been doing out there. And if he was doing this on a team that wasn't Baltimore, that people are still kind of waking up to as
Yeah.
like, hey, they're actually a good team,
Yeah.
his rostership would be much higher.
You
So
know who he makes sense for, where it could be a nice fit? Cleveland. A team
yeah,
that doesn't that has some openings in the outfield spot, can be an everyday player, has a chance to drive in some runs. I think that might be a neat little landing spot. But that's a great point. If he was to go to say like I don't know the Mets or
yeah,
the Dodgers or something like that, then you're talking about him being a part-time player. So
right.
that would be a little bit concerning. So that's not just the thing for hats on the top of your head, is it?
Nope, not just. Let's talk about I have Ramon Laureano on my list. He is
Mm,
exactly rostered in 50%, so he
mm,
just he just sneaks in. Um, look, we know that he was suspended for 80 games for PEDs. We know he is kind of got off to a slow start. We know he's playing in Oakland, but he's got 10 home runs on the year. An OPS above 7 of
mhm.
717. He's got 9 stolen bases, so he's almost a double player. Yes, he is very prone to strikeouts. So
Yeah,
this is not a player to roster in points leagues, considering stolen bases are a part of his game and strikeouts are a part of his game. That
yeah,
equation does not equal success in points leagues.
right.
But in roto leagues, he could have a new home in a week and his value would skyrocket if it does. He is a very rare power speed combo guy that is still available this late in the year and still available, like we said, in half of leagues. If you are looking for help in either of those two categories, I would go add. And if you aren't, even in a roto league, if he's available, I might speculatively add him if I had the ability just for the next week or so. Because if he were to move to a good team and suddenly be, maybe a top of the order outfielder for a Brewers team, or if he were to suddenly move to, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, maybe the Rays make a move for something because he's low cost. Like if there's something in
Yes.
those spots, uh, I think his value jumps up quite a bit, and he might be worth a speculative ad in the process.
Yeah, I think the thing with him too is that there is something on Savant that has him like 12th and outs above average. I think that's just not accurate. I mean, it might be
It
accurate,
might be
but
accurate,
it's
but
not indicative of
right,
his defensive ability. Like this guy gets as good a jumps as anybody, and so he's going to be in the lineup for whatever team he plays for.
right.
Like teams value that defense. Teams do not value this guy's defense a whole heck of a lot. Alex Kirilloff has been really, really good as of late.
Mhm.
Now, He's had an awful lot of one-hit games during this hit streak, but he does have a hit streak that has gone on since June 10th. He went 1 for 5 on Sunday, which doesn't help you a whole heck of a lot. But this was a guy who was hitting like in the low 240s for a while, below that even, I think, in like the start of June, just because he got off to such a wretched start. But since he's come back up, he's been a excellent contributor in the average category. Do I expect much power here? No. In fact, the only 2 home runs he hit in July were in a 2-homer game against the White Sox. But if you're looking for somebody to help in that average category and somebody who has been much better as of late than his numbers suggest, I think Alex Kirilloff qualifies.
I'm with you on that one. Speaking of 2 home runs, that's how many Stephen Kwan has over the course of the entire season. He just hit one off of Liam Hendricks the other night, breaking a 67 home run game home run drought, which is kind of hilarious to think of. That being said, he is still available in 68% of Yahoo leagues, still hitting 290 on the year, still has an OPS just shy of 750. You'd like to see the stolen bases up a little bit more, only with 6. But 45 runs scored is still very nice. Has the leadoff spot locked up right now in Cleveland. He's led off every game there since June 24th. And on the year, he has struck out 29 times and he has walked 33 times. I know this isn't Juan Soto in the sense that he's walking more than striking out, but like, still that elite eye plays in points leagues where you don't get the negative from the strikeouts. If you're in an OBP league, he is very much worth it and still available in 68% of Yahoo leagues. If you're looking for average OBP, runs scored, any of those type of things, Quantra guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he's been much better over the last couple of weeks as well. Like,
yes,
I think when I was researching, and he was a guy I was going to add, but you stole him from me, that he was hitting like 378 over the last 2 weeks or something like that. That'll definitely play. The guy I'm going to recommend for my final outfielder is a guy that isn't getting a heck of a lot of playing time. I mean, he's playing, but there are some question marks, but I think his playing time could go way up here in a second. Brendan Donovan, a guy who's hitting 280 with a 770 OPS. Again, we just must not like power. Although I recommend Anthony Santander, so I must not hate power. But he can get on base, man. He can hit for an average. And I think he's a guy that's going to be really attractive at the trade deadline as well. And a guy that the Cardinals can kind of afford to move and already eligible at a bunch of spots in Yahoo leagues as well. Probably a guy I want more on my bench than playing every single day. But it's hard for me to imagine that you don't have more solid floor options than Brendan Donovan to put on your bench.
I think that's completely fair. Let's head over to the pitcher's mound here and talk about some pitchers available here. Let's talk about a little quicker. Let's talk about Alex Cobb. Let's start off with him. Available in 66% of Yahoo leagues, 3-4 on the year with a 4.26 ERA, 1.33 WHIP, and 74 strikeouts across 76 innings. The 4.26 ERA isn't great, but his expected ERA is 2.89, which is in the 87th percentile. His expected slugging is 3.12, which is easily the best of his career, and that's also in the 87th percentile, and he's in the 95th percentile in barrel percentage. Multiple trips to the IL this year have slowed him down, but when healthy and when on the mound, he is showing good signs. It just has not particularly paid off yet. If you could trade for him, I would. If you could add him, I absolutely would, because the underlying metrics say that he is doing a much better job than what is currently showing. He could be someone who genuinely changes the game over the last 2 months. If he can suddenly kind of bring back that 98 mile an hour sinker, change up, kind of whatever pitch he calls that, because he doesn't like labeling it, looks absolutely filthy. I think he could be huge over the last 2 months or so.
Yeah, and I will say this too: if the Giants continue to play like poo-poo over these months, I wonder if you could be an interesting trade candidate as well. It would be.
He's a free agent at the end of the year, so yeah.
And I think his value could go up. So this guy is rostered well below the 50 percentile. I imagine it's going to jump about 30 to 40% by the time that he actually gets there. Dustin May, it's just a reminder to go get him right now.
Go get him.
His stuff is so filthy. I know there have been some concerns about he doesn't miss bats the way that his stuff would, like, you would maybe think, because, you know, his fastball's a little straighter than it's not consistently a great moving pitch. Waluigi is one of my favorite pitchers to watch in baseball. It just should go without saying that Dustin May should be rostered significantly higher than this. Even if you have to drop him, if he ends up pitching in like a relief role, though, he can still have a lot of value because that stuff is electric.
Look, again, we're talking about players that can make a genuine difference on your team right now. There's not many of them on the waivers because if they were, they would have been snapped up. Dustin May has that potential to be a game changer for you over the last couple months of the year. Could not agree more. Let's talk about Braxton Garrett for Miami. Available in 68% of Yahoo leagues. 2-3 with a 3.42 ERA, 1.14 WHIP, and 47 Ks to only 11 walks across 47 and a third innings. Over his last 4 games, granted, 3 of them were against Washington and 2 of them against Pittsburgh. I will put the caveat out there.
Sure.
He has 3 quality starts, has given up 5 total runs in 25 innings, and has struck out 25. He faces Cincinnati on Wednesday, so let the good times keep rolling there against weak opponents. 98th percentile in chase rate. He is throwing pitches. He is getting whiffs. I think you definitely want to start him against Cincy, and I think he's a great DFS play as well. But moving forward, I think he's shown enough that he has the strikeout potential that he can be a useful piece moving forward. Like I said, still available in 68% of leagues.
The only concern I have for him is his name suggests backup Ohio State quarterback, but other than that, there's a lot to like about Braxton. Doesn't that just like scream like, yeah, 3-star guy who chose Ohio State over Iowa? And
he looks
Michigan
like the
State.
guy I look down on my phone and I'm just like, Ohio State signed 5-star quarterback. And I'm like, God, yeah, Braxton Garrett's going to Ohio State. Yes, that's what that reminds me of.
So, Colin, there is a pitcher that is available in 60% of leagues that has a 62-9 strikeout to walk ratio. Do you know who it is?
Pray tell who? I'm trying to
George Kirby. George Kirby is available in 60% of leagues, and it's because he got sent down because they're going to manage his innings. Yeah. He's coming up to start on Wednesday. I think he's a great get. Like, if you look at the metrics here, it's not all pretty. Like, hard hit percentage in the 21st percentile. Doesn't get a lot of spin on his fastball or curve. He's not going to be an elite bat misser. But to say he pounds the strike zone is the understatement of understatements. And he gives up, the hard hit percentage of 21%. I think that's misleading. I have watched a lot of these starts. A lot of these hard hit balls are him making the right pitch, and you're just making hard contact into the end. So, I mean, if you're somebody who needs help in whip, especially, George Kirby is an excellent option. He'll be starting on Wednesday against the Rangers. I think that's a great option.
I'm with you on there. Let's talk about, I got Brady Singer here, available in 77% of Yahoo leagues. Since the start of July, he has an ERA of 2.66 with 32 strikeouts across 23 and 2/3 innings. Overall in the year, a 3.82 ERA and a 1.21 WHIP. I mean, I know that he's on Kansas City, but still plays a lot of Central teams, still works done. I think if you pick and choose your starts with him, I think he can do very nicely for you. Also, I wanted to highlight Reed Detmers, the top prospect. I know you had to be happy to see his name on my sheet. Available in 82% of Yahoo leagues. Since getting recalled from AAA, he has 2 quality starts, 1 win, 19 strikeouts across 17 innings pitched. He's only given up 2 earned runs. And the opponents that he pitched against, Baltimore, Houston, Atlanta. That's not an easy run for a pitcher. Detmers took all of them and only gave up, like I said, 2 earned runs across 17 innings there. I think the pedigree, the stuff, this is a person the Angels need to give as much time to him as anybody else on that roster. Why is Joe Adell not there if you're just going to tank it anyways? Put Reed Detmers into your lineups. I think he has a bright future ahead of him overall, and I think he could be an impact arm rest of season.
Yeah, I still think he's better real life than fantasy, but there's certainly something to consider.
Yep.
I covered the Brady Singer start that he had against the Rays. Roman Quinn did all of the damage against him, but took a no-hitter deep into that game. I've been really impressed from what I've seen. Consistency isn't the thing, but definitely a streaming option to look at. If you need saves, Sir Anthony Dominguez, for some reason, is rostered below 50%. I can't imagine a better closing option, to be completely honest with you. I mean, the Phillies are a mess, but it hasn't been because of Sir Anthony Dominguez. Nope. He's looked excellent in the role. He'd be somebody that I'd be looking to roster. And then my final pitcher, I actually have 2 more, but I'll go since we're doing a little serpentine action, I'll go Aaron Ashby, who really impressed me in his last start as well. I love his swing and miss stuff. It looks like he's getting more comfortable, getting deeper into games. The Milwaukee lineup is not great, but I think they're going to figure some stuff out, and he's going to get a chance to pitch against the NL Central, which probably shouldn't exist right now.
I called them a flyover division.
The flyover division.
I'm not sure if Drew appreciated that.
Who cares?
I mean, look, you got to earn it.
Yeah.
Highlight quickly, Trevor Rosenthal, again, available in 99% of Yahoo leagues. Why? Because he just signed.
Yeah.
Signed a 1-year deal with the Giants worth $4.5 million with $2 million of additional incentives. That's a pretty steep chunk of money for 2 months worth of work. That makes me think that they have every intention of giving him an opportunity to close games when he is healthy. He's going to start on the IL and is reportedly a few weeks away from live action. But like I said, he could be the Giants closer rest of year. In 2020, which was his last full season because he was missed all of last year with an injury, had a 1.9 ERA and a 0.85 whip and struck out 42% of the batters he faced. Only 6 pitchers saved more games in that shortened 2020 season, and only 8 relievers struck out more hitters. So there is pedigree there, and I don't have to reach too far back into the Rolodex to go find it. Someone to keep him monitor right now. I don't think you need to go grab him right now because, like I said, he is on the IL. He's going to take probably a week or two, but like they're paying him quite a bit of money. That implies to me that they have at least eyes for him being a closer.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I wrote up that transaction. They signed him and then immediately put him on the injured list, but not with a pitching injury, with a hamstring strain, which is kind of odd. I think there's a lot of risk here, to be completely honest with you. But if you can stash him on your injured list, why not? And see what he looks like. There could be there are worse things to do. And then my final pitcher, I can't believe I am recommending a Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher here. Mitch Keller is somebody that I'm taking a much closer look at. I've been really impressed with what I've seen from him in July. In his 4 starts in the month, he has a 2.88 ERA. He has a strikeout to walk ratio of 25-3. Even in that game that he pitched that the Yankees ended up losing 16-0 and he gave up 4 runs, he had a 7-1 strikeout to walk ratio, and he had as many ground balls as he had fly balls. He was not the reason that team lost 16-0, and he's looked much better over his last few as well. Former top prospect, overall numbers aren't great, but like, again, a guy who's going to be pitching in the NL Central and going to get some weak lineups to face. I think he's definitely worth a look because I do believe long-term too, I'm a big believer in Mitch Keller, and I'll be even a bigger believer in Mitch Keller when he changes organizations, because this is what Pirates pitchers do. They go there, they look okay for a while, and then they go and become aces somewhere else. It's science.
I personally prefer when they all come to the Yankees and look really good. Also, shouts to JT Brubacher as well, who has been pitching very nicely for Pittsburgh as well over the last month. Just the last couple names to throw out. Jeffrey Springs did not officially make the cut. He's available only in 41% of Yahoo leagues, but is available in 64% of ESPN leagues. So still might have a spot out there. He has a 2.5 ERA, 1.1 whip, and 72 strikeouts to only 15 walks across 68 innings. He just came off the IL, so there might be an opportunity to go grab him. I think he's worth it. Also, just a couple more guys to keep him. Don't have to add right now, but just keep in mind: Felix Bautista of Baltimore, Michael Givens of the Cubs, Yeri De Los Santos of the Pirates. All of those guys, the setup men for very likely to be traded closers. If there was a time to potentially preempt a pickup, now would be the time to do so. You can drop on next Tuesday if you need to, but all 3 of those guys in line to potentially be closers come August 3rd. Just something to keep in mind out.
And I will just mention quickly, mainly because I was kind of wrong about him, to be completely honest with you. Remember we did that show where I was talking about that I
remember it. I remember it vividly, and I'm keeping track of everything moving forward. Yes.
Yeah, I bet. Jose Miranda got off to an atrocious start, but over the last 30 days, he is hitting .338 with 4 home runs and 18 RBIs. He's eligible at first base and third base and available in 80% of leagues. Definitely a guy I would be taking a closer look at. And then one other one real quick. I think Sean Murphy is going to get traded.
Yeah.
Shane Langoliers would be somebody that I would be considering when that trade happens, especially if you're somebody who's playing in a 2-catcher league or if you need some pop, because I have some question marks about the hit tool with Langoliers. I don't doubt that he's going to hit some dingers.
Yeah, dude's got some raw power in there.
Yeah.
If you're looking for pop, that's where you're going.
Yep.
But that just about finishes up our show for today. If you enjoyed the show, then make sure you are subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you listen on Apple Podcasts, please be sure to rate and review us. Love those 5 stars. And while you're at it, be sure to follow NBC Sports Edge on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch to be informed of all of our live shows, Q&As, segments, articles, and more, so you can stay up to date on everything around the league and join in on the action. You can follow me on Twitter at ColDon'tLie, and you can follow Chris at Crawford_MILB. Be sure to tune back in Friday morning for DJ and Drew as they invite MLB Network's John Morosi on to preview the trade deadline, so make sure you don't miss it. And make sure you're with us right here, same time next week, as we recap all of the trade deadline madness. Hopefully it's a fun one. So until then, stay safe out there, and as always, thanks for the listen.
Mets, give me a double play combination of Dan Vogelbach and Dominic Smith. It will be the highlight of my entire life. Hey, Chad, well, just answer your question since you asked about Andrew Jones. This will be just for the listeners who are here live. So those who are not familiar, Drew Jones, the second pick of the draft, hurt his shoulder in his first batting practice as a member of the organization. It seems to be a recurring theme. Corbin Carroll has hurt his shoulder as a member of the organization. Jordan Lawler has hurt his shoulder as a member of the organization. And now Drew Jones. It's not something that would affect my dynasty draft because we're talking about a player who's 4 years away anyway. Mm-hmm. Definitely want to pay attention to it, though, because shoulder injuries, like, you don't want to get hurt. But, like, if you're going to get hurt, let it be an ankle. Let it be even like a hamstring or something like that.
A hammy can come back.
Or a neck injury. You don't want anything in the head because you're talking about affecting the quality of life. You don't want anything in the back because it could affect your power. And you just don't want anything shoulder related no matter what position you're playing. So that's as doctory as I get. But if you're in a dynasty league and you're making the first pick of the draft or whatever, I'm still taking Drew Jones 1-1 pretty easily. Okay, that was fun. Talk to you guys later.